Back in the saddle again. Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening in Tokyo. What is it? It's 9:32 in Tokyo, and the Bank of Japan is having its two-day meeting. I guess on Wednesday it'll be clear what's going on. So it starts or ends on Wednesday, I guess you could say. But they're all prepping for it. Currencies should be relatively mild at the moment. What do we got up there? We got the euro. You can see the euro there. Let's go to the magical dollar index, watching how it slowly slides into the sunset. Let's see, right there. There's the DXY. And we are happy because all our computers are doing the things they're supposed to do, and we're able to see what we want to see, and so forth and so on. So it's all good. Yesterday, we had it was hit and miss because of the holiday. Things were all over the place. We could not get quotes on like half the things. I hated that. I don't think I could get more than one currency up. But in the end, we prevailed, and a few people asked. Let me put the chat line up there. A few people asked, and we're ready to go. We are back in the saddle again. All right, let's go to chat line. And yesterday, someone wanted to see like a 1 minute chart on the euro, and we were like, oh, I think it was Smith that wanted that. It's like barely get anything working right yesterday. But today we are back in the saddle. There's the chat line. There we go. We're getting to the chat line, see if anybody's asking questions. And I said yesterday, just tune in. There you go. There's Janos. Hey, Doc. Hi. I need to look for the week of the U.S. Oh, let's see what they're doing this morning. I wonder how much our markets. Well, there's a couple different news things out that might have some interest. One is this. Check this out. The Vietnamese Communist Party just fired the head. Their chairman, exes in China. They said that they got rid of him and his whole his ministers, or a bunch of ministers too, because of mishandling of the COVID situation in Vietnam. And so the chickens are starting to roost, as they would say out here in the farmland. All right, there is the S&Ps. As you can see, it's kind of starting off quiet. Let's get to the chart itself. Right there. There we go. And there's the S&Ps this morning to start with right there. As you can see, and let's check it out on J4X too at the same time. If I would only grab the right mouse. And I'm using 3 computers to do my webinar, so there's 3 mice going in 3 directions. Mouse in the house. And let's put it up on there, and then we'll go back to the currencies. And there is the S&P 500 right there. You see the strength in it. There's your daily strength. You can see we're in a weekly buy right there. It's looking good. It's a second week in the fast-moving weekly buy signal. We call it the echo, or the so forth, or the shadow. In this case here, the shadow, or in other words, the little blue dotted line got across last week, and in this week now the slow-moving one got there. We've been watching this for about a year and a half, 2 years now. I've been watching it, and now I kind of finally, we went into the math, and we went and tried to understand, because I was totally confused by it all. And I was talking with with a confidential individual. Hey, Robin. Hello. And now I finally got it figured out. The 3-5. When we wrote the 3-5 back in Princeton about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, something like that, I got them backwards. So the green and the white is a gas line 5, and the the blue dot is a gas line 3. So it's faster moving, and I was confused. I thought they were the reverse, and I couldn't figure it out, and I would fight with it, and I would rewrite the code, and it would still come out the same way, and I was confused. And now I realize that the plots themselves, when I went to look at let me just show you. I'll show you my psychosis and my craziness here. Indicator. So when I would say, okay, look at the plot here of the 3-5 super right there. You see that right there, the box I'm moving around there. I thought that was the black line. I'm sorry, yeah, the black line. The white line, white histogram, was the 3. I thought the green was the 3, and I thought the blue was the 5. And I was totally wrong, and it didn't match. And I would fight with it all the time. For a bunch of years, I would write a 5-7 and a 5-9, and it would be all confusing. And then I realized finally, I was talking with one of my sons, actually, and I was describing what I was fighting with, and he said, well, let's take a look at it together then. And I said, okay. And I looked at it and I went, he goes, well, yeah, you got it reversed right there. And I was like, oh, that's the answer. So the 3-5, when we look at the blue little dashed line there, it is a gas line 3. And for a bunch of years, I thought it was a 5, and I could not understand why it was moving faster than the 5. I mean the 3. I didn't understand why would 3 be, faster when it. I mean, why would 5 be faster than 3? Anyway, I'm done. I'm not going to get any crazier than I just did. End result is that you can see it is through, and you can see here it is, pierced. Last week gave us the signal right there on it. This week here, we have the 5 now joining in. And that's okay. It smooths it out. That's the objective. Remember, we're communicating daily and weeklies to traders that don't have my mathematics. So, in the end result is that, Chicago Quant Mathematics, is, a superior mathematics to everything else. I mean, anybody want to challenge it, it's fine. We'll put whatever you think might be a better product up on the same screen, and you'll be able to see that it's always behind. MACDs and moving averages and parabolics, and you keep on going after it. In the end result, you're going to find that our indicator is a super, super leading indicator. So then what we did is we created something that's very close to it on J4X, and that's what you see here when we look at J4X. You see that's why we have the 3s and the 5s in there when people say, can you show us the internals? Well, and we'll do that right now. Edit? Where's the edit? There's got to be an edit. I right-clicked it. Why isn't it not showing me edit? There it is. Edit indicator. And so you see the 3 and the 5 in there. And so you see them right there. And so, I couldn't understand why it wasn't doing what, it follows the pattern. You can see it. They look identical. You see the green line. You see the green line in here leading. And you see the 5 lagging. You see the yellow, which is the slow stochastic at the same time, but I couldn't figure it out. But the end result is that now we've got it figured out. Everything's good. All right, I can verbally describe it. So you can see here on the S&P 500, we've been moving firmly since last week on a fast pace, and you can see we went into the daily buy at the 3,913 area. And you can see now we've drifted all the way up to 4,028. That's the high today. Friday's high was 24. It's doing its best. Figuring they'll probably find a way to get to the 41s. That's what I'm thinking, Giannis. They'll probably get up to the 41s. But at the same time, we have Bank of Japan. This week it's like the Federal Reserve in a sense. I still look at, I still look at Japan as a major power more than I watch China. And obviously the European Union is the second largest economy in the world, not China. And matter of fact, there was some real complaining going on in China, and the analysis coming out of Japan was, the Congress, the Communist Party Congress, that just ended about 5 weeks ago. They usually set their targets, what GDP is going to be for the next 5 years. And they didn't meet their goals. At the end of the conference, they didn't talk about it. They walked away from it. The goals were not met. And so they're like, they don't know what to do. So instead, Xi consolidated power around him. Whereas in Vietnam, the next door neighbor, who has 150 million people, and it's a communist party also, but they have free market. They're working on having free markets. That's why their economy is very strong. And so they got rid of their president. at their Chinese Communist Party. And so he's gone. I'm not sure if the media is going to cover that, but that's what needs to happen in China, because the last Communist Party Congress did not remove the people who have screwed things up, and they actually made it very clear why they got rid of them. The GDP got knocked down from the bad policies of the COVID thing. The policies were bad policies, not good policies, and it hurt the economy. It hurt people. Matter of fact, in Japan, they're still a little confused. I saw something over the weekend. Why do they have a record amount of people taking the vaccine, or what they call vaccine? It's the gene therapy. The COVID shots. That's why they call it. That's why they make that horrible statement. They call it the pinch, or the shot, or when you poke somebody, the poke. I guess they call it the poke. But the problem is that they're also having record deaths. So in other words, the gene therapy is not working. Now in Sweden, that came out, and they said, this is all economics. This has got nothing to do with politics. Remember, politics and economics people get all frustrated with. So Sweden has stopped it. They don't want anybody to take it anymore because people are dying from it. The jab, that's it, the jab. I got major contradictions coming in. In what way is that, Giannis? Is that a new picture? What is a new picture? Is that I want it look like a nuclear explosion because it was small. What's the contradictions? Well, let's put it this way. Vietnam seems to be moving in the right direction. Japan seems to be moving in the right direction. They've raised their rates, and I think they're backing off the jabs, as they would call it. Thank you, Robin. Jab. I knew it was something like that. The poke. VIX moving up. Market could go down. Retail thinking that the bear market rally continues on and turns into even a return. Continues on and turns into even a bull market, etc. No, I'm right there with that. Who did I saw somebody while you were away last week? Who was it? Someone made a real. Oh, I know. It was. It's one of the oldest and smartest of the guys. I think he used to be Raymond James. He's not there anymore. He has his own company now. I can't think of his name, and if I say his name, you'll go, oh, yeah. He's like bigger and better than, what's that guy from Omaha? Warren Buffett. He's much smarter, more successful than Warren Buffett all the time. And, he said that we bottomed in last year, as far as he's concerned, and he's been buying. So I agree with you. I think, matter of fact, he thinks, we talked about this on yesterday even. The bottom there in October. So yeah, I think so. And then here, let's check out the VIX. Let's go to the VIX. The VIX is, last I saw it was at 16 or 17 or 18 yesterday, or Friday. I think it was Friday. I just I don't really see. Who was I talking to last night about that? Was it you, Robin? I think I was talking to Robin on the phone. I was in the car yesterday going one direction or another and talking to him about that. About the bottoming. Might have been Robin I was talking about. Where's the VIX at in this thing? I don't see the VIX there. Let's go find the VIX. I know the VIX is parked right there. There we go. Here comes the VIX. That's the Dow, and here is the VIX. Yeah, see the VIX, and I don't think is it updating this morning yet? I don't think they can because they can have a because of the let's change the parameter there. Just go to 24 hours. There it is. So the VIX is up this morning. Okay, I see it right there. So they gapped it up. It's up at 20 now, from drifting on Friday down to 18. We're still in a weekly sell. Let's do this though. Let's fix that parameter too. Let's go to 24-hour versus just New York Stock Exchange hours. And there it is. And the weekly will fill in too. The weekly is still moving down also. But I think there's and I'll find that guy's name. But I think he was with Raymond James at one time. Yeah, he was like their head analyst a long time ago, I think. And he was always right, and he was always very solid back in the 80s and the 90s. And, And then I think he opened up his own fund somewhere around 2000 or something like that, or right around there. And he was making a very strong case that we had seen the bottom. I see what you're saying. I got major contradictions. Yeah, I see what it is. The VIX is a contradiction to the market. I see it. VIX now is up. Market could go down. Retail thinking that the bear market rally continues on and turns into even a bull market. I agree with that. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that of course they're going to back and fill. Let's go back over to the where is it at? Right here. Let's go back to the S&P. You can see the S&P looks like it wants to go after these tops in here. And that's only what? That's December and November. Yeah, I mean that's what that is. Looks like it's going to battle its way up, and they brought it back down to 38, but could not bring it down to the October low. Let's just tighten this up a little bit more here, like so. And there's that October low. And it's definitely looking like this is the support area, the 38s now. Especially when we slide it over a little bit more, like so. And then when we go over to J4X, I don't think they're going to go. Matter of fact, I think we talked about this yesterday. It's got that weird triangle look, which is bearish, right? So this is like, how do we do this? So R.N. Elliott and W.D. Gann, when they teamed up with Jones in the 1940s and the 1950s, and they had the office up around 43rd Street or 44th Street. They had 3 offices right next to each other. Okay. That's why the hedge fund industry today is up at Midtown and not really downtown, down at Wall Street. And that's because of the tradition of Jones and Gann, W.D. Gann, and the last years of R.N. Elliott. The 3 of them were teamed up together. And there's not a lot of writing on that. It's more of there's some small stories. There's some simple. They were so hidden so well. That's why they were at Midtown. In other words, they didn't want to be down at Wall Street. They didn't want anybody to know what they were doing. And so they talked about a 7 combination. So in other words, matter of fact, this pattern is one of the patterns they talked about, and this was the 1-2 here. And then the 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is the 7. Then they did a 7 triangle, and they did a 5 triangle that most people know about. And so this could be a big bottom. And then you go over to my math. Let's go to my math that I send out every weekend. Let me go back to that right there. Okay. That's not it. Right there. There we go. Okay. And then you can see that's Bitcoin. There you go. And see that pattern that occurred in December? This is the December one. This is not now. This is, and you see this movement happen. This box here I have in there and this box in there, and I talk about that. Then there it is live now in a sense. Let's move that over again. And the inside-outside days. That's what these triangles really define, inside and outside days in the end. And so, and I put it in my newsletter that I don't really update anymore, the Floor Trader, but I send it out with the old statements in there about it. And you can see here, this is the October low. Yeah, this is the October low, and we had it right here. And what do I say in there? I say something like, here we go again. Here, let me see if I can find it. I know I can find it right there and there and there, and let's pick that up and move it over. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. No, that's not that. Let's get rid of that. That'll freak people out. Okay, right there. Is that it? There it is, right there. Oh. Okay, and that's what I say in the newsletter. Here we go again. More action with another 4-day of inside-outside range. The start of a move in the Dow 30 mid-October. We had multi-days in a row with lower highs, higher lows inside days, outside days, highs with lows, brought major action. I seen it live 5 decades, also tested 90 years back. So I've seen this characteristic. That's what I wrote back in October. Right? That was back in October when it happened. And so I keep it on the chart still. I keep the boxes there, and I will keep those boxes there forever, as long as I'm around. And so then it happens again. So, I mean, now we're doing it. Notice that where it happens the second time seems to become the support area right in here. And it comes down and challenges it and won't go past this box. And so this was the base right there. Oh, you can't see what I'm pointing at. Let's do that again. So this is the base right here. And then this is the support right there. And so this is kind of in congruent, I guess the word would be. In other words, it kind of, I discovered it on my own, but decades later I learned that R.N. Elliott and W.D. Gann played with the same math when they were with Jones. That's what we know now. Okay, so I mumble this every so often in the webinars about W.D. Gann and R.N. Elliott, and then being with Jones, and people might go, "Who the hell is Jones?" Jones is the father of the hedge fund industry. Okay, so in other words, everybody who does hedge funds knows Jones. Okay, and the hedge fund industry is a hidden universe in its own right. Very few of us have ever been part of that animal. I can say that I have been part of that animal. I've been a part of it. And so the hedge fund industry is incredibly more secretive. And incredibly, they won't even give out pictures of themselves. I know that one hedge fund manager who is world renowned, if I mentioned his name, I'm not going to say it, who was asked at one point that they wanted to do an article on one of these Wall Street magazines back in the 90s. And he said he talked to his head trader and he said, "Find me a picture of not me, but that you can send in." So they had this magazine down on Wall Street, one of these insider magazines about trading and so forth, and they had his name on there, and they thought that that was his picture and so forth, and it was not. Anyway, that's the type of industry it is. It's very secretive. They don't have much of an interest in telling you about anything. And so at the same time, what you have here is that the markets, have shown the major bottom here in October. Let's see if we can tighten this up a little bit more and move this over a little bit more, like so. And so, yeah, this could be the low of this sell-off. Right there, we got that big box that I have representing the inside-outside days. And then we had another one about 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, and it seems to be the base. Now it stopped there. It refused to break through it. And so it looks like it's trying to bottom in there. We could go sideways. You could take a look at the late 60s, early 70s, the 70s market. Late 60s, early 70s market was the same way. It became matter of fact, this could be a picture. If this was let's say if this was a monthly chart, imagine this daily chart right here being a monthly chart. This literally could be what the late 60s and early 70s looked like. I mean, it was that choppy where the Dow Jones Industrial Average bounced between 600 and something to 1,000, back and forth for about 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, something like 5 or 6 years, more like it, 7 years actually. It went on like that, off and on. Big base was put in. And what happened at the end of the base? The Dow tripled in like 2 months. It tripled. It went from like 600 and something to like 1,800 in August of 82. Okay? So it went through the late 60s and throughout the 70s with this big chopping pattern like this that looked identical to this, up and down, up and down, up and down, bouncing between the 600s and the 1,000 mark on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which back then was the all-time high. And then in August of 82, the market bottomed at 679. I have my paper charts. I could put a camera to them one day. I paper charted for decades. And, it bottomed there, and we saw those patterns. And the next thing the markets were at 1,800. in a very short period of time, like 1,400 out of nowhere. Matter of fact, what was interesting is the crash of '87 used that bottoming pattern in the end. Let's see. Green Planet. Yo, Green and Planet. Green lives matter. I agree. We all made so much it was ridiculous, right? I don't know. What is ridiculous about making money? Explain that to me. Why is it ridiculous to make money? Then we'll give Green Lives Planet Matter. We'll give them some time, her time, to be able to tell us why it's ridiculous to make money. I don't think it's ridiculous. I think it's a good thing. Money is a tool. Nothing better than when you're repairing something. It's good to have the tool to do it right. When you're working on something, building something, you need the right tool to do it right. So, Green Lives Matter Planet. Tell us why it's ridiculous to make money. I'm willing to listen. Means crazy. What's crazy? You mean it was easy money? Well, there's a couple reasons why it was easy money. Is because we used to have Robin and I write articles about it. Reactive versus proactive. So today we live in a world is proactive markets. Whereas back in those days, remember, a bid and an offer was $12.50 wide. So when you bought on the bid and sold on the offer, now markets are less than a penny wide. So we went from $12 wide to 1 penny wide. So I mean, it was easier to make money back then in that universe. And that's what they've pretty much changed. The markets have gotten tighter. It's so much easier to trade today because of that. Let's see. Different world. Right, exactly. The 80s. Well, the 70s, let's see, point figure charting, etc. No, that point figure is good still today. But it's different because of quantitative easing, QE more. What changed the world was 76, and I know I'm going to scare people. We're going to start talking about it here a little bit. Not much. I'm only going to use 3 or 4. I'm going to use 2 words. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing more than that. Just 2 words. You ready? Those that get scared, I'm going to give you 3 seconds. You can put your hands over your ears. Okay? 1, 2, 2.5, 3. Puts, calls. Okay, there you go. All right. I should have told them they can count to 4, and now they can take their hands off their ears. Somebody elbow somebody. Anyway, those 2 words changed the markets. Okay, the old guys used to complain to me all the time at the New York Stock Exchange about it when I was a member there. Oh, they would bitch about it. Ugh. They would be so happy where they could make really great money off of 4 million shares a day. Now they were complaining, it was 27 million shares a day, 50 million shares a day, and they didn't make anywhere near the money because the bids and offers were tighter, the volatility was higher, things like that. It changed the marketplace for the better. So anybody that uses those, I could use those 2 words again. And so I'm going to give you 3 seconds to put your hands over your ears again, and then just count to 3, and then you can take your hands off it. All right, ready? 1, 2, 2.5, 3. Cover your ears. Puts and calls made the markets much more volatile. Okay, much more protected, much more conservative. Okay, there you go. And that's what changed the marketplace. And then from there, changed the bids and the offers. What happens was markets got tighter. Instead of $6.25 versus $12 bid with in a market, you moved to the point where the most successful clerk. Here you go. The second most. Can anybody name the first most successful clerk in history? Clerk, like working as a clerk. And the New York Stock Exchange had the second most successful clerk in history financially. And that guy's name was, oh God, I can't think of his name now. He was the chairman of the exchange. He was a clerk on the CBOE for Merrill Lynch. And the first most successful clerk financially in the world was Albert Einstein. He was the most successful clerk in history. You know, he came up with 5 papers, won a bunch of Nobel Prizes, and he was just a clerk at a patent office. And the old chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, I'll come up with his name because I'll just look it up off of Google. Chairman of the New York Stock Exchange in 2000. What was it? 2000. Let's try 2010 or 2000. Let's do 2002. There we go. 2002. I can see his face and so forth. Not Tom Farley. Who is chairman of the New York Stock Exchange? How many companies listed? How many independent directors? Let's see. I can't think of his name. Italian fellow, real nice. He used to be a clerk in Chicago, and then he, moved to he was from New York, and he ended up in there. I can't. If I could say the name, I can't find the name. 2000. There you go. Let's go like that. 2001. Let's see. Chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, 2001. Let's try that one more time. But I'd say he's the second most successful clerk in history. There it is, Dick Grasso. Dick Grasso made hundreds of millions of dollars from the New York Stock Exchange. And he changed the bid and offer situation down to a penny. And that tightened the markets up, got rid of the market makers basically. They're trying, matter of fact, right now, the new chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission is trying to get rid of market makers. And he's finding that it's very illiquid. And that market makers, that's why there's black pools. So, yeah, but there was a lot of money and commissions. I mean, the commissions were just dramatic. You used to pay $1 per option for commission. For a stock, you buy 100 shares, you could pay a couple $100 for commission. Now the commissions are for free. So that's why it was, as you would say, who was it that said that? Green Lives Matter Planet said ridiculously crazy 80s was different world. Point and figure. Yeah, it was crazy because everybody was making big dollars in commissions, and bid and offers were wide, and it was all, it was a lot easier money on the trading floors. Now that's all gone. There's no real exchanges anymore. There's, no one's, it's all done. So, anyhow, back to Janos and the S&Ps and the VIX. So there's your answer there, Janos. We had our inside outside 4 days out of 5 here. Then we had, as I said in my thing, then here we go again. It did it again. Now it's for the new boys. No, not really. We had the speed boys in our office up at Chrysler Building, where the speed boys and all like that. They're not making any money on high speed trading or anything like that. The only way they make money is that that's what the Securities Exchange Commission is trying to do. They're trying to remove them. At first they allowed them in. It's not for us old boys. Oh, I don't know. Us option traders. I know lots of option traders that are trading in that are 80s and 90s at this point. I'm trading. I'm 67. Still into the game. I enjoy it. And day trading's fine too. Day trading's easier than it's ever been before. But it's not because of the commissions and bid and offers anymore. Right, exact. Matter of fact, Exactly, Green. They are still growing where everybody else is not growing, and that's because that's the future. Really, that's what the future of finance is to master those tools correctly makes it less speculative and less risk with more gain. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, you can throw collars onto a portfolio. So all right, for those that are scared of options, I'm gonna talk about them for about 10 seconds. So I'm gonna count to 3, cover your ears, and then count to 11, and then we'll stop talking about them. You don't have to hear about the scary words. Okay? 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4, 3. Cover your ears. All right. So options. You have a portfolio of stocks. And so what you do is you just go sell calls against the longs, take the premium, buy puts, and you're hedged. Done. You just collect the dividends. That's it. So in other words, you want to live off of dividend income. Boom. That's it. Now the stock market could fall to 500 from where are we at now? 34,000. You're going to still have all your money. You might be off a little bit or you might be up a little bit. But you're talking about inside 1%, if not 0.25% in either direction of being a gain or a loss. So, oh, yeah. Am I allowed to say that out loud? Won't that scare some people? But yes, I agree, Grand Planet. We'll call them CCs instead of CCs, etc. I don't want to scare anybody. And dividends, yes. Yeah, we can say dividends out loud. Small profit, but more consistency. No, not small profit. It depends on what you're doing and what timing you're doing, and if you're following, fundamentals on some level or another. Or, imagine this. Imagine if you sold one of those CCs or CP. How about if we just use the letter P for one of them and the C for the other one? Imagine if you sold the P's when you wanted to buy something. You automatically buy at a discount. Right there alone. And if you're wrong, you just make money. So how would you like that as a trader? Okay? You sell the P to take, so that you can get long stock, right? And you don't get filled, but all you do is make money. Wow, what a stupid idea that is, isn't it? Well, when I say small, it's all relative. Exactly. Now we're back to the most expensive clerk in history. Al Einstein. He made more money than any clerk in history. And then Dick Grasso was the second most expensive clerk in history. I put this 10-foot tail on Grasso one time. He was vice chairman of the exchange back in those days, and I was on the option. Oh, am I allowed? I can't. I was on the CC committee. He was president of this. He was chairman of the CC committee, and I was on the CC committee with him. And I remember one time he came down on the floor for something, and I put a tail on him. It was like 10 feet long of tickets stapled to his suit because he wouldn't wear a clerk's jacket when he was on the floor. He'd wear a suit jacket. Anyhow, that is, yes, you are totally right. Green lives matter. It is relative, but again, it's the best. Look, trading margin wise with stop losses is very challenging. It's all right for intraday trading, but you'll get cooked if you try to do it, overnight. Because the stop loss is not going to protect you from gap ups or downs. I have a chum, who is also an old clerk from the early '70s. Did the book keeping in the pits. Oh, I've never heard of that. Sounds interesting. Robin, you ever hear that book, Keeping in the Pits? Because that sounds like futures. On the equity side, we call them crowds. And on the future side, they call them pits. Yeah. So in other words, it wasn't a trading pit on the New York Stock Exchange. It was a trading crowd. So when you went over to IBM or Apple, or well, not Apple back then, but you go over to General Electric or whatever company, whatever stock you were trying to trade on an equity floor, it was called a crowd. Whereas if you wrote a book and called it pits, okay. So did he trade options on the pits? In the UK. Yeah. This is not Riz. Am I talking to Riz? Is this Riz? Have you discovered me? I had these two traders I taught. Riz and... what was the other one? Riz and... I can't think of the other guy's name. But in the end, they ended up leaving our firm and going to London to trade in London. Green Planet, are you Riz? No, I can tell. I just thought about it. You're not, because you have friends that. Oh, maybe you said you had friends in the 70s. I mean, you would have been on the floor in the 80s, so that's fine. You would have known people in the 70s, but you wouldn't have talked that way. Riz is pretty organized. They were young grads out of what was it? Wharton, out of University of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what they had the Futures Exchange, London Futures Exchange. They had the London Stock Exchange, and then they had the London Options Exchange. And so they were trading at the London Options Exchange. Good action, Pits. Do you know anybody from Amsterdam? That was a great exchange in Amsterdam. Anyhow, where are we at here? Giannis, did I satisfy your query? If not, let me know. But, reconnect. Oh, no. Ding. Ding. Ding, 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 ding. There we are. All right, so there we are with the VIX, and yeah, they gapped the VIX up this morning. Well, the stock market's following it because the S&Ps are down, but I don't know if it has much meaning to it. And I think let's go over to the currencies. But I am willing to go anywhere anybody wants to look. So, look at that, the euro is moving back up again. But look at the algorithm on it. It's underneath a little bit. Now, the weekly has no weakness looking in there at all. I mean, histogram's getting a little small. The faster moving side of the weekly is moving still very firm. Up on the plus side, banging against the time manifold right there. You got the green line through the time manifold. It looks pretty good there. Oh, Green Live says this guy in the LSE made more money after listening to two senior boys in the lift who were deciding on prices in French. He bought and sold on the info. Hey, that's what happens sometimes. That's what happens. The lift. Oh, you must be... I went to school in Hertfordshire. Are you from England? Indeed. Let's see. All right. So from there, where do we go from here? Oh yeah. So yes, I figure so. When you said lift, for sure. Yeah. I went to school in England, in Hertfordshire. Hatfield. Did you? Yeah. I see Hatfield and now is Hertfordshire University. When I was there, they were one of the 4 schools in England that had a mainframe. That's why I went to Hatfield, just to be able to use the mainframe back in the early 70s, mid 70s, something like that. I figured I'd get more run time in Hertfordshire than I would at Oxford, Cambridge, or London School of Economics. They would have been a pain in the neck. They wouldn't have given me nowhere. I must have had 6 different passwords for runtime at Hatfield. So. Now, let's see. What else we got going on here? Me, I'm not in my 90s. I'm 67 years old. Yeah, I'm 67. So, anyway, where else can we go here? I guess Janos has gotten his answer, so let's go take a look at the currencies again. So let's put the euro up on the, let's see, same as me. Yeah, there you go. Where were you? You went to school in Hertfordshire. Where'd you go to school? Were you at Hatfield? Cable. Okay, cable. Let's go to cable. There is the pound. Cable was interesting. I was thinking this week it was going to be pushing through the weekly buy. Oh, okay. Okay. I enjoyed it there. It was nice. And it was great, the green line. I was able to get in and out of London with no problem at all. I could go to London because of the green line, you could literally transfer right to Hatfield. So I could take the train into London, but if I could get to the green line, I could get on the train and boom, I could go right to King. I guess it went right through King's Cross. Let's see. There's the cable. Cable. Right there. There's cable on J4X. You can see trading at 122.37. It looks firm. You can see the hinky askies are moving up nicely. And then let's put it up on Chicago quant. There it is right there. Now, I figured that, is that it? Yep, that's right. So the weekly is trying to get through. You can see the faster moving line. Let's put a thing in there. So district line, yeah. Matter of fact, I seen my old girlfriend. She was from Wales, and she graduated Hatfield, and she's teaching at in Hertfordshire. She ended up teaching in Hertfordshire, living there. Let's see. You can see here the cable. The fast-moving part of our mathematics turned up last week, and it was up throughout the week. You can see the daily buy has been in a daily buy until yesterday. Went into the daily sell there a little bit. That's yesterday. Then today you can see it's trying to lift back up again, but you can see our algorithm's been underneath there. Let's put a red line in there for you. And you can see that now the slow moving right here is, you can see, let's make that the whole screen too. There we are. Or not the whole screen, but you can see right there. So, the fast moved in right there. That's what that little dotted line is in there. That's the fast moving. So it's been showing strength there, and it jumped into the daily buy right there. So you can see the strength has been there. Now we're kind of thinking, we looked at this yesterday a little bit, and we noticed that, when you look at the euro, let me just throw the euro up there for a second just as a comparison. You can see the euro is really rolling along a lot better. Took out these highs in here from a couple weeks back with no problem. Whereas over on the cable, you can see the cable is having its issues still getting through those highs. See them right there. What is that? The 125 area. So it's not that far off. I mean, what's 3 handles is not anything major, So that's pretty much the cable situation. Yesterday someone was asking about intraday euro. They wanted to see intraday trading in euro, but I don't see them here today. But if they come in, ask again. I told them to show up today, so maybe they'll show up later. You know, we got about 8 or 9 minutes, but I can go a little bit further if they show up. So there's the cable. Let's take a look at the Swiss this morning. And Swiss is showing some strength, which is nice. It's gaining against the dollar. The weekly held up very well. Where's that mousey at? There it is, right there. You know, I got 3 mice, a white, a red, and a black. You'd think I would know to grab the right one at any given time. And so right there, let's tighten that up too a little bit. You see, that's what's going on there. Ever since the topping in here on that problem with Credit Suisse. Now let's jump over to it on J4X. Right there. You know, it does have that look like it's trying to sit on something. You know, it's right there. It's sitting on that. Interesting market pattern. Now from there, we go to the yen. And as I started off the webinar saying, you know, Bank of Japan has a big meeting on Wednesday. So traders are kind of stalled out at the moment. I imagine they might go after the 125 again. There is the yen. And the yen is just parked down in here until they get that done. Matter of fact, that's kind of like a tip-off. Every time they pull that stuff when they have a meeting, you know, and they start the thing off with that little gap about a week ahead of time. So they have a general idea of what the votes are going to be. Notice our weekly is comfortably down into the minus side. So that means that it's going to be gaining against the dollar even a little bit more, it looks like, with the yen. Then, where do we go from there? We go to Turkish lira. There's Turkish lira. This is the Euro-Turkish lira pairs trade. You see, same thing. We're getting that little push down on a lot of the products today. Let's put it up over here. And J4X right there. And it's just marching along, isn't it? Look at that. It's at the top end of its range. And Turkish lira is just, you know, just kind of, it's been in a buy from here. And it's been in a buy for a while. On the weekly buying. Let's see what we can do here about getting this mouse over to it. Right there. We've been in that weekly buy there since mid-October. Since the wild volatility started in that product. It seems to calm down more in the euro pairs trade to the Turkish lira versus the dollar Turkish lira pairs trade. The dollar Turkish lira pairs trade is really hard to look at. It's ugly. It looks like some type of indice. It doesn't even make sense sometimes. I mean, our math covers it fairly well, but it's just so thin in transactions, you know. Then what we do is we drift down to the two currencies that match to the commodities, and that is CAD. And there it is right there, CAD. The Canadian against the American dollar, and you can see it's trying to turn up, which is usually a sign of weakness in oil. And that's yesterday, that's today, it's in a buy. Let's put the little line in there, like so. At the same time, we're still in the weekly sell, so I don't trust the buy signal that much. And then we slide over to here. Let's put in crude oil. In this case here, since it's late in the day, we'll go right to Brent. Let's see what Brent looks like. In the 85s. Yesterday it was in the 84s, which is kind of odd for that alone. Storm! Storm! Frenzel! Storm! So you see there, you see the oil moving up. West Texas probably doing the same gig. Right there, there's moving up. And let's take a look at it over here and see what they're doing to it there. Nope, not there. There we are. And let's check out crude. That's not it. Let's try it one more time. crude. There it is. Mr. and Mrs. Mouse. And there's crude. And crude is lifting it. It was knocking down. You can see the low there. Storm! And what else we got brewing here? Let's see what the back month looks like. 80.14 in the front month. Let's check out the May contract. 80.72. What's that? 58 cents? 14.60. Yeah, 58 cents. So it's 58 cent premium to it. Russell. Let's check out the Russell. We can give you both there. Here's the futures contract. Right there. I think we may have to. Let's see. There's the futures contract. You can see here it's been in a weekly buy for 2 full weeks on the fast-moving our fast index, not the stochastic, but fast algorithm. And you can see here we're going into a third week, and it closed last week in the weekly buy. So, and you can see we've been in a daily buy. Let's grab one of these and just move it over. And so we've been in a daily buy since there, and it's not stopping. Now let's go check out. Let's see, I think I have Russell, the IWM somewhere is in there. Is it hitting 190 today? Let's see what's going on there. Let's see. I've been having a problem data feed with my stocks. They show active live, but lose a day or two in there. Open workspace. Let's go to STX Robin. Bingo, bingo, bango. Huzzah! There is TQ. Let's go down to Intel. Someone had us looking at Intel. So there's today in Intel, and then there's showing the 10th. Something happened on the 10th. I have to talk to the software people. Let's see, IWM. There it is. Yeah, it's at 186.63 right now. Will it go to 190? That's a good question. Well, you can see the gap up it is at the moment, but that's from the 10th. No, what is that? That is... Wait a minute. No, that seems right. What's going on there? That's IWM. Yeah, it seems to be updating correctly. Okay, now let's do this. What do we have going on there? Sometimes it's whack, sometimes it's not. Say sent. Let's go to default. Let's see what default looks like. See if it cleans itself up. The 15th was a Sunday. The 14th, what in blazes? The 13th was Friday. The 12th, the 9th. Something's missing. See, the data is missing between 9 and 12. So, I don't know. I have to... That's something around the 10th screwed things up. Don't trust this. Let's go back to... Now, what's interesting is that's screwed up. So you can't trust this. Let's go back to the futures contract. That is updated. So let's go back to that. And let's see. So you can see here that's looking very firm. This is looking correct. And it looks like it's trying to take out the December highs. It's very close to the December highs. Let's go to the stock again and see what the December highs were. Let's tighten that up. So the December highs were 180. What is that? The high is 189.24. This one there is 189.56. So wouldn't surprise me today if they let's see, let's go back to the futures contract and see how far off it is. It's not that far off. What's the high here? The high was 1920, right? 1920. And right now the high today is 1903. Yeah, you got a shot at the 190 area. Yeah, you do. I agree with that. Storm! How are you doing? I am doing fine. I've had Three 3-day weekends in 5 weeks. Life is good. Life is grand. It is. And that is my riff. What else can we say? We're past my time. Does anybody have anything they'd like to look at? I'm willing to stick around for a little bit longer if you have something you want me to look at. And then if not, I'll start singing. That'll chase you away. Did we see everything? I guess we didn't see. We didn't see. I want to see the South African Rand before we leave. Let's see the South African Rand. I want to see what they're doing with that. And then we can see what gold's doing too. And then we'll leave. How's that? There's gold. Gold made a high today and then is rolled back a little bit. And let's see what the South African Rand looks like. Come on, Mr. Mouse. Where are you? Right there. And right there. There's the South African Rand. Yeah, that's really weird, this political stuff that's going on there. Politicus, $500,000-ish cash. They're taking it up, and gold is going up at the same time. That must be the politics. Silver. Let's see what silver's doing. Silver looks pretty good this morning. There's Mr. and Mrs. Silver. The March contract made a new high today and dipping down a little bit. Nothing major in a buy. And look at the weekly. This time for a change, it's not starting on the weekly sell. That's a good thing. It's trying to actually build some momentum on the upside again. So that's a very positive thing there. All right, traders. I guess we're out of here then. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. That'll be tomorrow. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Have fun. Thank you very much. Green Lives Matter. And we will catch you all tomorrow, same time, same channel. So, to all, a good night, and good morning, and good afternoon.